It's the Joe Padula Show, Clarksville's conversation.
Absolutely. The fight against political correctness kicks off as states look to protect female athletes competing against biological males. Or are these states just transphobic?
Yeah, that's not controversial at all.
No, I know. What a Doug Rich. My bad. Hey, let's debate it with a diverse panel now on the Joe Padula Show. Absolutely. Make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, click that like, definitely leave your comments, and help us out. We got a shadow ban on this channel because we like to talk honestly, so share this in your timeline and in your groups. Freaking shadow ban. All right, let me go to the story. So the governor out of Mississippi, they signed a bill banning transgender athletes from girls and women's sports. This was today. The Mississippi governor, Tate Reeves, sorry, signed the bill that restricts transgender athletes to only competing in sports that correspond with their birth gender. So it's a Mississippi's SB 2536 will go into effect on July 1st. I'm getting this from the Associated Press. So the Magnolia State, they become the second state to ban transgender athletes from competing against natural-born girls after Iowa passed a law late last year. And in the state of Tennessee, there is a bill on the floor currently proposing the same thing. As for the bill that was signed into law, Mississippi governor took aim at President Joe Biden. Governor Tate, he said, but for the fact that President Biden, as one of his first initiatives, sat down and signed an executive order, which in my opinion encourages transgenderism amongst our young people. Are we flagged yet? No? Okay.
Nope.
But for the fact we wouldn't be here today. And so the governor added that the bill aims to protect young girls from being forced to compete with biological males for athletic opportunities. So, with that being said, is this trend the way to go, or is it transphobic? I know it's a tough one, but I want to have an honest conversation about it, whether you agree or disagree. Who should we go to first?
I definitely agree.
Oh, here, Judge! All right, so, Chief Wiggins.
Thanks for taking one for the team, Chief.
You're up first, Chief.
Why not?
All right, so, where are you from originally, George?
I'm from Memphis.
Memphis, Tennessee.
Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay, a very liberal area, by the way, in the state of Tennessee. But, okay, you're against this bill, or you're against biological males who identify as females competing in women's sports?
The latter, yes.
Okay, why?
Biologically, men and women are built different. Our muscle structure is different. Our bone density is different. Everything about us physically is different.
Okay.
So men, there are some statistical outliers there, but men will always be physically superior to women. Again,
Okay.
there are some women that could take me in a bar fight.
I hear you on that, but overall, you're talking about the design of the male body, and believe you me, I've seen many male bodies that look very feminine.
Right.
But overall, you're saying that genetics is designed to make the male a stronger, more of the hunter and gatherer.
Yes.
Than the fruit gatherer, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean that's definitely part of it, but I mean it's an unfair advantage to the men that are competing against women, because we're going to run faster, we're going to be stronger. It's an unfair advantage.
Red Pill Jen, what Chief Wiggins just said. What do you feel? Do you feel that's a sexist statement? Do you think that's a false statement? And what's your thought on this?
I think that's an incredibly sexist statement.
Okay. Do you hate him for saying that?
No, I strongly dislike him at the moment.
Okay,
but once
good.
we walk out of the studio, we're cool.
That's right.
Okay, but just for the purposes of drama on the show, I can't stand you.
Yeah.
Gosh. God.
So why is that sexist? What he said and not science?
Because I don't care for broad stereotypical statements.
I don't think you should use the word broad in this context.
The minute that left my mouth.
All right. Well, go on.
No, I don't care for stereotypes because for example, you might look at someone like myself and think, yeah, she can't fight. Well, I have a 2nd-degree black belt. So more than likely, I could probably take damn near anyone in this room if I had to.
Shane, start flexing those pecs. All right.
Shane's the least of my worries. I'll just throw some tacos at him and he'll be fine.
Thanks a lot, Shane says.
Shane's the least
About
of my
to
worries.
pull out that black belt here in a second, I think.
He'll like that.
All right, but with that being said, what about the bill that says if you're a biological male, you cannot compete against biological females?
This is a tough one for me because I have friends and friends who I consider family that are transgender.
Right.
And so, one individual who is a female to male has been undergoing a transition now for 15 years. And to look at him and, to me, in no way, shape, or form would he ever be considered a female, even though he was born a female. I can tell you right now, I mean, you wouldn't know. So to put someone like him up against a man, okay, let's flip the script here. So let's not make it about a man competing against a bunch of women. How about a woman competing against a bunch of men?
Well, what a dog, Rich. That's a great question right there. What do you feel about? Yeah, you're up. What do you feel about a biological female who identifies as a male competing in male sports?
So I think that everybody has the personal right to feel how they feel about anything up to the point that it affects somebody else's rights.
Okay.
So I can believe I am male, female, pansexual, whatever, and that's great, and everybody better respect that. But if it does offer me an unfair advantage, then that's got to be taken into account because now I'm affecting somebody else's rights.
Now, should law be made and created to protect said athletes?
That's difficult. I think you've got to look at both sides of that. On the one hand, it offers fairness to someone who believes one way, but on the other hand, it's unfair whether it's passed or not. It's unfair to the other. So how do you make that decision? I don't know. I'm glad I don't have to make that decision.
Right.
Yeah,
I don't envy anyone. I don't pity them either, but that's got to be a difficult position in life to not be comfortable with who maybe you were born with, and I don't envy them.
And for the record, it is a very real, it's in the DSM, it's called body or gender dysmorphia. So, I mean, it is an actual medical, and I'm not saying every transgender individual experiences dysmorphia. So it's like Rich said, I mean, it's a tangled web.
And here's another thing too, and I seen about a couple different stats on this one, but you're looking at less than 1% of the U.S. population identifies as transgender.
Yeah, it's very small. I mean, I think what we say
0.58,
yeah.
something like that. I mean, I saw other ones. It was 1 point something.
So do we really need a law then for something?
Well, let me go to Bay on this one because Bay, we've talked about this in the past. What are some of the examples that have been brought up?
Listen.
Uh-huh.
Why do they have to go to another sport? They can still play in the boys' sport. Why don't they just stay there?
That's a great question. Okay, so if the biological male who identifies as a female,
she don't have to go to the female sport.
So continue in the guys.
Yeah.
Now,
why not?
And then what about locker room? What are we doing with locker rooms now?
I was just about to.
Because and John, if you could weigh in on this one, you've played sports in the past, right? I'm only guessing because you're a tall guy and you played basketball.
Avoided them, actually.
Maybe they just did that.
Never mind. This is the worst one to go
I
to.
assumed you were a basketball player.
Yeah. Sorry.
I've played sports. I played softball, basketball, you name it.
Yeah, but you're a girl.
I know.
But
I'm inferior.
Right. Yeah. Cheerleading's not a sport. But John, okay.
That's a whole other topic of conversation.
You're in the locker room.
Right.
Okay. Where do we go now?
Well, I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. I think it's one of those things like you want to address it as evenly as possible across all things. So either A, we totally do away with gendered sports completely and everybody on the field. If you want to be fair, everybody on the field.
I know, but you know what? I mean, women's records and
if we do want to not use that model, then we need to actually weigh in with the people who this is going to most affect, which is the people that are playing the sports, right? The competitors, the people in the locker rooms. We need to have a a vote on that, or something that goes on where people don't have to expose how they voted, but we get a census of what do these people want, you know, and that can be dangerous ground too.
I hear you. I mean, because again, such a small population, you know, if you put it up to just a vote like that, I mean, overwhelmingly, it's
Right.
going to get shot down.
Yeah.
But intern Shane, you go to college, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Austin P. What is the word on the street at Austin P. State University when it comes to a topic like this?
I will be honest, I haven't been on campus like at all ever since COVID started.
Yeah,
So-
the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
Pandemic. Sorry,
So-
please don't kick us off for that.
So I don't know exactly what the deal is going on with this sort of subject. In fact,
Well, what's your thoughts then on it personally?
well, I just personally don't see a problem with it.
Okay.
You know, like it's just, I mean, here's the thing. For one thing, there's two separate sports. There's like girls volleyball and there's men's volleyball. There's girls soccer, there's men's soccer. But even though we have those two different sports, I don't see a problem where if somebody who personally identifies as, you know, a certain gender, even though they're not that gender, I don't see a problem with them, you know, wanting to participate in that opposite gender sport. Like,
Let's take a look at
it's just
some of the
free
footage
speech.
that's going around on the news here. All right.
Also, would you be okay if I stated a couple of comments? real quick?
Okay. Yes. What are they saying there, intern Shane?
So actually, Brittany made a fair point
what
previously.
did Brittany say?
All right, so Brittany said, "It is not transphobic. Men and women are different. Men have men have a myriad of physical advantages over women," and also stated biology is not bigotry.
You know what I find interesting too is because for me it comes down to science, you know, and there are arguments that's made on the far left about like global warming and everything, and they always use science, right? But when it comes to arguments like this, they don't want to use science. You know, and they want to use your feelings on this one, or what you identify as. So I have, and I know that's not a popular statement amongst that community.
Well, it
But-
depends on the scenario too, because again, when you look in, I mean, if someone does have the diagnosis of dysphoria, then that is science,
Right.
So I mean, this is just not one of those things you can put in a nice little box and put a ribbon on it.
Let's
And,
play
you know.
some video clips here. All right, let's see what we got. We'll go to the display.
It's the dramatic end to a competitive and controversial weekend for Mac Beggs. The 17-year-old Dallas area high school.
Let me just reverse this a little bit. So this female wrestler, born a guy, has a bulge, by the way.
The 17-year-old Dallas
Is
area
wrestling
high school
females.
student won the title of champion in the girls' state wrestling competition Saturday.
And won the Texas State wrestling for the female. And the crowd, there's boos.
Yeah.
There's boos.
Of cheers and boos directed at the wrestler as he fell to his knees, appearing to soak in the win. Many in the audience feel Beggs has an unfair advantage on the road to victory. Beggs is a transgender athlete, born a girl, transitioning to become a boy. He takes testosterone injections to make that transition happen. Many believe that provides the young wrestler with an added competitive edge.
Yeah.
Strength and agility are hard to miss on the mat.
I have a question here.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and this kind of piggybacks on what John had said before about looking at it from a different perspective. Is it wrestling something where there's a weight class anyway? Isn't it supposed to be fairly matched with regard to, like, for example, you wouldn't put someone who weighs my...
But
you know,
again, take a 120-pound girl, take a 120-pound boy.
Okay.
Okay,
That seems
let's see.
fairly
When I
matched.
wrestled,
The boy will have more muscle mass, though.
and that's what it comes down to. And
Not
I was
necessarily.
watching Joe Rogan on this because he was talking about this with UFC. All right, and because there was I forget the transgendered athlete's name.
It starts with an F. Farron?
Something like that. Yeah, Fallon. Right.
That was it, yeah.
And Joe Rogan's like,
was years ago.
This is not good because of the bone density and the muscle mass. Because again, UFC, mixed martial arts, uses weight class systems.
Yeah.
So I have to go to Joe Rogan on that, who is now like the god. He's like the godfather of podcasts, you know.
Yeah.
He's like the Johnny Carson of the podcast
Everyone
world.
loves Joe.
Right.
Rogan, not Padula.
Yeah, no, believe me, there's a lot of people that don't like me. That's for sure.
I said Rogan.
It's like what Brittany stated before. It's biology.
Yeah, and I hear you. And let's play some more.
I have to ask-
So this wrestler, she was born a girl and she's becoming a boy.
Yeah,
and she's
But
competing.
and she wrestles in the female.
And she taking
Testosterone.
Right.
right now, right?
I-
And I
So I mean, there's so many different scenarios. What's up, John?
I was going to say, I don't think that
With that
anybody
age.
should be able to take performance-enhancing
Right.
chemicals of any
Interesting.
sort.
Yes.
Let alone to transition into something so they can compete. Like, that just seems completely anti-ethical to anything sport
Yeah.
related.
Yeah,
Interesting point.
because what she's doing is the equivalent of an Olympic athlete.
They can't
would
do
take
that.
Steroids.
Steroids.
Right.
That's
We-
an excellent point.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with transgenders or anything else. We just don't want that on the field.
That's
Right.
an excellent
has
point.
been taking hormones or
See?
steroids. He
That
should be
be-
wrestling.
You see how she said he though, right? She's not happy. She's not happy with this person wrestling her daughter. You know what I mean?
Yep.
If he has been taking hormones or steroids,
I got some other videos too I want to get into that I think will bring up some interesting topic and conversation here. Let's go with remember the Connecticut? The two track stars in Connecticut that won the state championship,
Yeah.
took away the scholarships from those the girls that the biological male athletes who identify as female won.
Two high school track stars who took first and second place at the Connecticut State Championships now finding themselves
Who were male track athletes and during high school made the transition and started competing against females.
at the center of a controversy.
Both young women are transgender and competed on the girls' team.
You know what's good? It's nice to see Tom Petty's mom working. It really is.
Oh, I thought, well, yeah, Tom Petty's dad, because that was Tom Petty.
Look at that. Look at that.
Team. That's not sitting well with some parents and student athletes, though. They've started a petition to change a rule.
News 8's Amy Hudak live in News 8 Control with
Hudak Live.
reaction to this story tonight.
Amy, what the hell happened to your shirt?
Seriously.
Look at that. Nobody, it looks like Barney
Don't they have
threw
dress
up.
codes for broadcasting? So you don't have anything that
What
loud.
is that?
Seriously,
a
this
flower?
this looks like the Wish version
Connecticut-
of a broadcast.
Interscholastic Athletic Conference, the CIAC, says that athletes can choose to compete for the sport in which they gender identify with.
So in Connecticut, it is totally legal for whatever you identify as to compete in that sport in schools. And that's not just in high schools and elementary schools, but also colleges. Could you imagine a guy basketball player that didn't make the cut saying, "Okay, maybe I'm supposed to be a female"?
I don't think that would happen. But, I mean, I see your
I didn't
logic.
think this was gonna
but it
happen.
doesn't
I would
work
be
that
really
way.
interested in seeing some
You ever
data.
heard of the movie Geronimo Man?
Yeah, with the Knicks.
But some are saying this creates an unfair advantage, especially when it comes to athletics.
I had like these pink and purple furry boots.
Like, listen, and call me transphobic or whatever. I'm walking down the street or whatever. I see Andrea. I'm going, "Hey, what up, man? What's up, bro?" To me, that's a dude.
100%.
Just by
It's by looks.
looks.
I mean, I've been mistaken. I mean, from behind, hey, man. I mean, I think it's happened to a lot of us.
Well, you got to do more squats.
I know. It's the booty, isn't it?
Boots I wear.
Andrea Yearwood says even as a
But she has a mustache. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, to
So do a lot
be
of other
fair,
women.
to be fair though, Joe, there are a lot of women that have.
yeah, I
You're-
know.
you're
and
Italian,
I've
you
dated
should
them,
know that.
right? But
child, she identified as a girl.
Learn to like, I guess, deal with it and I guess grow tougher skin.
Yearwood is a sophomore at Cromwell High School. Born a boy, she's now transitioning and runs track and field on the girls' team. She and Bulkley High School
He just say he has to grow thicker skin.
track and field on the girls' team. She and
Yes.
Bulkley High School sophomore Terry Miller swept the competition at the girls' track and field state championships last week.
here, let me show you that race. Actually, I got that race. Let me pull that up.
Well, while you're pulling that up, here's the world record for the fastest 100-meter sprint ever run by a female was done in 1988 at 10.49 seconds. The fastest 100-meter for a male was done by Usain Bolt at 9.58 seconds. I mean, that's almost an entire second faster. So even if you took those two and put them side by side.
Oh, wait, so you're saying the man was slower?
No, the man was faster by almost a whole second.
Here's the woman's most outstanding performer, 2019. Okay, born a guy, and is now the 2019 most outstanding performer in college.
I'm just a regular.
It's not even close.
No,
look
it's not.
at
It was
this.
like no contest.
That's not fair. It's not fair to these girls and ladies.
It is not.
It's not. Okay. What I just saw, the most outstanding athlete of 2019. Like, that's a dude, biological male, running, identifying, and transitioning into a woman.
I mean, if you also take into account like the hormones and steroids and stuff.
Speaking of which, intern Shane, I'm glad you brought up steroids. Look at this story.
All right, during Pride Month, LGBTQA.
Turn down the volume on that dress, ma'am.
Oh,
that's a bright yellow, huh?
For the iHeartRadio people, it's like safety yellow.
Yeah.
It's real.
She was helping out in the parking lot right before this.
Yeah.
She was directing traffic.
It's like that's the vest they made me wear when I would get in trouble, and I had to go on cross duty patrol.
Yeah, crossing guard duty.
Crossing guard duty.
Yeah.
And look at the schmuck to her right. He's just like, I'm not wearing anything that bright.
It's probably the reflection off of that freaking dress.
Yeah.
Can't
so,
see.
so their clothes reflect their personality.
That's right. It could
lift
be.
their voices against the stigmas still restricting people from living freely and without fear.
Tonight, our Kimberly Craig shares the story of a world-class powerlifter who stunned the sports world when she made the decision to share her transition publicly.
World record holder, by the way, for the female category now.
I wonder why.
Janae Kroc grew up in the...
That's not her, by the way. that's just as a reporter.
Wow.
I'm just saying. Okay, if you're listening to iHeartRadio, definitely watch what we're watching if we're not kicked off
Dress
already.
codes,
small
people.
town
Dress
in
codes.
northern Michigan, struggling to find herself. Now she hopes her journey will help.
You think she smokes like cigarettes a lot? Right?
Who, her? No.
This reporter. Listen to her.
Kimberly
Craig? Yeah, Kimberly Craig, the smoker. Listen.
Michigan, struggling to find herself. Now she hopes her journey will help others.
She actually has a second job. I did a little research on her. She does the voiceover work for The Simpsons as Patty and Thelma, the sisters of Marge. Yeah, she does well. She does very well for herself.
I wonder how much I've been smoking for like 20 years, 2 packs a day, and I don't sound like that. So.
Hey, Homer.
Find their own way to peace and acceptance.
I'm a world powerlifting champion. In 2009, I set the all-time world record in the 220-pound class with a 1,003 squat, 738 bench, 810 deadlift, and a 2551 total.
For years, fans and those in the world of powerlifting and bodybuilding saw Matt Kroc as an ultra-masculine picture of perfection.
And the reputation I
big
had
guy.
was
Huge.
being like the most intense,
He's
the
almost as
craziest.
big
So
as
I was
Jack
like
Stain.
the alpha of the alphas, and so I was like the last person in the world that anyone.
And there you go. Now competing as a female.
Okay, now wait a minute.
Okay, do you see what I'm saying?
So he holds the world record as a male?
And that's what made
No,
it,
as a female.
I think, even more
That's what you
shocking.
said,
It made
right?
it more difficult for
Yeah,
me to
I
come out.
believe.
Because this Marine's toughest battle
And thank you for your service, my friend. I hear you, battle
had been
buddy.
waging inside from a...
But if you allow it to start at the school level, it will progress into the professional level.
Yes.
Well, I kind of feel like we've been.
And that's the goal. That's the goal of this movement.
Well, this has been going on a while. Surely there's some data on like how much in these competitions they're being if there is a transgender person on a team, are they dominating consistently?
There is a world record holder for a female who is a transgender.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, same thing with the sports. The 2 track stars out of Connecticut, they won the state tournaments, and they didn't get scholarships, by the way.
Yeah.
Even though the other 2 that came in 3rd and 4th, they also didn't get scholarships for not finishing 1st and 2nd.
Well, but I guarantee you there's no female transgender, so someone who is born biologically a female who holds a male title.
Well, why, like, say that wrestler from
the wrestler that's,
from Texas, though,
yeah.
why didn't, since she was born a female and transitioning into a male, why didn't she compete in the male department?
Division,
Right.
yeah.
I'll tell you why. No state championship. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
it's individuals who are utilizing a system to gain notoriety and actually profit in the long term.
Yes.
And that I don't go for. If you got something going on up in your head, that's fine. Deal with it. Get it dealt with. See somebody. But now you're shoehorning yourself into other people's lives and throwing their mission off course. And that's not cool. That's just not cool. Is it not cool for me to point that out? Is that rude?
No, I definitely agree with you.
Well, it's rude that those two girls out of Connecticut didn't get the scholarship that was going their way.
I think it's a little bit far to say that necessarily something is wrong. It just is. You know, if someone feels like a woman, they just do. That's not wrong or right. That's not necessarily something they can get fixed. Right. You know, and I don't, nor should it. But I think that you make a valid point when it affects the opportunities and things that other people can do. Then you got a problem.
And do you know why they don't create a transgender type of category? You know, you got male, female, transgender,
Well,
right?
there's probably not enough transgender athletes.
There's no support for it.
Yeah, I mean, there's not. How would you even?
You'll have one athlete, say it's track and field, running against themselves.
You know what I'd love to see, and I was thinking this when we were watching the individual who was the track star, and they were just literally leaps and bounds ahead. What I'd like to see is that same person compete in that same exact race against biological males.
Right.
And see how they fared on that. So is this person just that good, or
do you
is
know
it an
where
unfair advantage type thing?
Going to the Connecticut, the two female transgender, the male biological males that transitioned into females in Connecticut, the track stars that finished first and second in the state tournament. Do you know where their scores landed them in the overall on the male list? 98 and 99.
Wow.
Not even in the top 50, not even in the top 75.
Barely in the top 100.
They beat one dude who might have tripped.
I just want to see if that individual, again, is truly that talented of a runner and a hurdler, a jumper. So I'd like to see more of a fair one-on-one.
But they don't, like that I was listening to that lady's interview there. The guy that now runs as a girl, that for the college athlete of the year.
I just can't remember her name.
Andrea.
No, that one was Andrea was Connecticut.
Okay.
Oh.
But I was listening to her interview there, and she doesn't see herself as a guy at all, and would be, I think, I don't want to say she used the word insulted, but felt insulted if she would have to compete against guys. Because she doesn't see herself as a guy. She's actually like, I like men, I like boys. Well, in my mind, it's okay. You're a gay dude.
I mean, and if she feels as though she's a woman, that's fine. But at the end of the day, too, it's like if you look at that race, I mean, she's a good foot taller than these other women. Her legs are longer. I mean, so it's just, in that scenario, there's just a very clear physical disadvantage.
Which statistically, men are taller. Men... That's thicker bones.
Yeah, but
more
on
muscle
average.
mass.
On average.
On average,
I believe that if I were one of those other athletes, I would refuse to run that race.
I would too.
If I stepped up to the starting point, I'd be like, come on now.
I can't do it. Right, and that's happened. I've seen the videos where that's happened, and I've seen the videos where the parents actually create lawsuits against their children because the scholarship aspect of it.
Well, here's my question. What about the Olympics? Will transgender athletes be allowed to compete on a worldwide scale in the Olympics?
I'm assuming they would have to.
If they're on hormones, it's not going to happen.
Well, because they do have strict...
That's a great point.
They do have
to be
strict...
off
Very
of
good
it.
point.
Oh, I see.
And the Olympics don't tolerate that.
But for the biologically female athletes that are competing in male categories... or the bio, man, I'm getting all turned around. But basically, the males are not going to take. They might take what is it?
Testosterone.
Female
and
hormones.
Estrogen.
Yeah. So they actually by quitting that, they would become probably more stronger.
They
in competition
would. Yeah.
if they
Show
got
me
that.
examples where you have female-born individuals that transition into males and say, I'm going to compete in the all-male league. I'm sure it's out there. I want to see it.
I just want to see it fair. I mean, however that looks, however that works out.
And if someone
it's
brings
not
up the
transphobic. I
Billie
just
Jean
think it should
King
be
versus
fair.
the guy, what was that? I forget the guy's name.
Billie Jean King, though, she was a legend.
Yeah, of course.
Come on.
Yeah, and good for her. She was a hell of a tennis player, one of the best. But you throw it up against this one guy who makes it all a joke. I watched the movie with Steve Carell, the documentary.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I think a lot of what I see is people that project something that that they have going on, and they want everybody else to sort of go along with what they have going on.
And that's and you got to look long term. Okay, if you break on this one, you'll break on others.
Yep.
Okay, long term goal. We'll get you on this. Remember, it started off with the friggin' Confederate flag, and now look at it. You got statues of Abraham Lincoln being ripped down.
Oh, how far we've come.
Yep.
Remember, you give in, they want more.
Give an inch, they take a mile.
Poor Pepe.
Yeah. Give 6 inches, they let you run track.
Who's Pepe?
Pepe,
I see what you did there,
the
Jack.
skunk.
Thank you.
That,
Pepe Le Pew.
Pepe Le Pew.
Yeah, that
Is he gone?
Oh, they pulled him.
Hey, good. He was always a misogynist, I thought.
He's a little rapey.
yeah, definitely a rapey feel.
You know what was good? What was the one I saw?
Did you see the ones? Did you see the ones with Pepe Le Pew's head superimposed over
Biden.
Joe Biden?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that was funny.
I saw.
I don't care who you are. That's
I mean, he was also a skunk.
All
Just
right, moving
throwing that out
forward. Yeah, I know. He was a skunk chasing
Animated.
cats.
Misogynistic.
Cats with paint.
When I
Cats
was
with
6 years old, he made me very uncomfortable.
I loved it. That was my role model.
Do you need a safe? Do you need a safe space?
No, yeah.
I might have a safety pin here for you.
There.
All right. Hey, let us know what you think. Keep those comments coming. We'll get to them. Okay, intern Shane, he'll start doing stuff, and we'll keep calling him out. Thanks for filling us in on some things too.
It's the Joe Padula Show. Bada bing. Clarksville's conversation.